The history of Taveau Church actually begins with Martha Caroline Swinton Taveau, who was the second wife of John Ball Sr. While doing research, I found that she was very much despised by Ball's children, as she was basically their age. Even though she did have 3 children of her own with Mr. Ball, she continued to be ridiculed throughout her life. In fact, they even called her Buzzard Wing. She was frequently mentioned as the reason for a Ball curse. According to the website The Charleston Mercury, to Gay Sanders Fisher traveling along the 2-lane road winding through the Marion National Forest provided a welcome reprise from the incessant city traffic that she experienced almost daily. Content in her mission despite the unrelenting late summer heat. As she pulled her Jeep onto Dr. Evans Road, just outside the community of Cordesville, moments later, Gay was peeping through a chain-link fence at Taveau Church. Taveau's caretaker, Clarence Brown, soon arrived to remove the padlock from the fence. He filled her in on some of the church's 184-year history. Taveau is an unusual example of early 19th century church architecture, exhibiting a seldom seen air of sophistication. The two were soon joined by Robert Brown, Clarence's brother, who is the assistant pastor at Cordesville, and Michael Bedenbaugh, the executive director of Preservation, South Carolina. Bedenbaugh hopes to help the Cordesville congregation find a way forward. It's developed to restore Taveau. During the last several months, he and the board of directors have worked diligently to establish a Sacred Spaces Fund to help save endangered historic rural churches. Like the Francis Marion National Forest, Hurricane Hugo ravaged Taveau in 1989. Miraculously, the funds were raised and the roof was replaced and the church was stabilized, allowing the mid-19th century structure to survive the 20th century. But the new century has not been kind to Taveau. Harsh licks from the tropical storm winds of Hurricane Irma on September 2017 left the church with broken windows and damage to its roof, making it more vulnerable to wind and rain damage. As Gay surveyed the exterior of the structure, she understood immediately Taveau's precious situation. One of the most specific aspects of this church is its balcony that was taken from Strawberry Chapel and donated to Taveau in the 20th century. It was the place where the slaves worshiped during regular services there. The staircase is from Strawberry Chapel as well. I believe that preservation of both is of vital importance to this region. Brown agrees. When I was growing up here, I passed this church often, he said. During high school, I worked across the road at Mepkin Abbey and would pass by here, not understanding Taveau's significance. My foreparents sat in the pews here and in the balcony at Strawberry Chapel. Saving Taveau is personal for me and my brother and for a number of others in the community. Gay's series of paintings depicting South Carolina endangered sacred spaces can be ordered by contacting Gay Sanders Fisher's Gallery, located at 124 Church Street. In more recent news, in the Post and Courier, Robert Baer writes, Easter seems an appropriate time to share this inspirational story of salvation that has been playing out in the backwoods of Berkeley County. Dr. Evans Road near Mepkin Abbey has been the focus of statewide preservation groups for several years. As a result, almost 2 years ago, I wrote that Berkeley County was losing one of its historic churches, quoting Bill Fitzgerald of Preservation, South Carolina. I am frustrated over the potential loss of this landmark. He had just about given up hope, thinking its nearly 2 centuries of history would soon be gone. Still, he had arranged one last meeting with some folks in Berkeley County to try and save the chapel. And as he drove towards here on Interstate 385, his phone rang. A friend of mine called to tell me that I should read a letter to the director that had just been published in the Post and Courier, he recalled. He pulled into the emergency lane and read Cynthia Gibbs' letter, Googling her to find her phone number, and reached out. "You don't really know me, and I don't know you," he told her. "But I do know we want the same thing, and I'd like to see if we could work together." She also had been driving in traffic and pulled over to talk. So began their journey of faith. Gibbs, who grew up in Berkeley County, recalls that St. Luke's and Taveau merged to form Cordesville United Methodist. No matter where life took her, she remained a member of Cordesville Church. It took about a year, but she and Fitzgerald eventually arranged for the Preservation, South Carolina, to purchase Taveau from the United Methodist Conference and work with the local community to refurbish it for future use. The group hired Meador's Construction, which lifted the church a few feet off of its foundation to repair the original 1835 brick pillars and add a few additional support pillars to meet modern structural codes. The work involved extensive bracing of the interior to ensure the small building held. Less than 2 weeks ago, the church was lowered back down on the repaired foundation. Constructed by enslaved workers, the church was built on the grounds of the Claremont Plantation. While it began life as a Presbyterian church, Black Methodists worshiped there after 1847. 2 years later, when Henry B. and Claire Booth Luss wanted to dispose of Mepkin Plantation, they donated more than 3,000 acres of land to create Mepkin Abbey, and from within that larger gift, gave 3.5 acres to Taveau trustees. The church is one of the few civic or public buildings in the county's Cooper River National Historic District, and its presence complements other historic churches and religious sites nearby. Many increasingly refer to the areas connecting Taveau, Strawberry Chapel, Biggins Church ruins, and Mepkin Abbey as the Sacred Corridor. These sites speak of Native Americans, Huguenots, Catholics, Anglican, Episcopal, Presbyterian, and Black Methodist faith traditions. Taveau has been razed, then brought back to earth, and its structural work is expected to be wrapped up this summer with new life. As it does, those working on Taveau will gear up to raise $800,000 more. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, and as always, thanks for watching.